Blood was everywhere, on the grass, on the leaves, hanging thick in the air, warm, sweet, metallic, almost sticky in my lungs. I froze mid-step, the damp forest floor squelching under my boots. A fresh kill, the deer lay on its side just ahead, its eyes wide and glassy, steam still rising from the wound in its chest. Something had torn it open, not cut jagged, brutal rips through flesh and bone. No claw marks I recognized, no bite I could name. The forest was silent. Too silent. Even the wind had stopped moving through the pines. My own heartbeat was the loudest sound, hammering in my ears. That's when I heard it breathing. Slow, wet, heavy. Behind me, I turned. A massive shape loomed between the trees. Shoulders wider than any man's, matted fur soaked dark at the chest. Its hands, not paws, not quite human, clutched something red. Pulsing.it was the deer's heart, and it was still beating. The thing didn't move at first. It just stood there, breathing in rhythm with the twitching heart in its hand. One step forward, my legs wanted to run, but my body stayed frozen, locked by some primal command deep in my brain. Its eyes pitch black, no whites, no reflection locked on mine. Then it dropped the heart. The sound it made when it hit the ground was wrong. A wet slap that echoed in the stillness, and that's when it came for me. The first step shook the earth. The second split the space between us in half. I stumbled back, my boot catching on a root, nearly sending me onto my back. I didn't scream, my voice refused to work. Branches snapped overhead as it lunged, its arm swiping through the air where my head had been a second earlier. I bolted, tearing through the undergrowth, not caring which direction I went. Just away, the forest blurred. I could hear it behind me, not running, but moving in long, deliberate strides. Like it knew it tired before it did. The smell of blood clung to me, mixing with the sharp tang of pine sap and my own sweat. Somewhere ahead, a faint glow, my camp. My one hope. I didn't look back until I was in the clearing, and that's when I saw it standing at the tree line, half in shadow, head tilted like it was studying me. It raised one hand, and in its palm was my flashlight. It held my flashlight like it had stolen a part of me, like it knew it'd feel safer if I could see. The beam wasn't on, but when it tilted its hand, the metal caught the faint moonlight. My knees trembled. I wanted to shout, give it back, but my mouth stayed dry, my tongue heavy. It stepped forward, and for the first time, I saw its face clearly. The fur stopped just above its cheekbones, revealing skin the color of ash. Its nose was wide, almost flattened, and its mouth stretched too far across its face, a mouth that wasn't smiling, but somehow still looked like it was. My stomach twisted, then I heard it. Another breath, softer, higher. I shifted my gaze. It's right. In the darkness between two pines, something else stood. Smaller, narrower shoulders, two glowing eyes, lower to the ground, watching. A low rumble rolled from the larger one's chest, and the smaller one answered with a sound like a cough and a hiss combined. My brain screamed family, and then, without warning, the smaller shape began moving, not toward me, but around me, staying in the dark. My heart pounded so hard my vision pulsed. I backed toward my tent, my legs brushing against the cold nylon. I thought maybe I could dive inside, zip it up, and grab the knife I kept under my pillow, but before I could move, the big one did something that froze me in place. It clicked my flashlight on and aimed it at my face. The beam seared into my eyes, bleaching the world into a wash of white. I threw up my hand, blinking furiously, trying to force my vision back. I couldn't see them now, only hear. The big one's breathing had changed. Faster, hungrier. Somewhere to my left, the smaller one's footsteps crunched in the damp soil, slow and deliberate. Circling closer, my campfire was nothing but a faint glow of dying embers. No heat, no light to protect me. I fumbled backward, my heel catching on the corner of the tent. I almost fell, but caught myself on the flimsy pole. The flashlight beam lowered from my face to my chest, then to my hands. It was inspecting me, My skin prickled. My gut told me they weren't just hunting. They were deciding. A twig snapped behind me. I spun, but there was no time to scream. A shadow rose up, taller than the big one, blocking out what little moonlight filtered through the canopy. My brain couldn't process it. Another one. My breath hitched. 3 of them now. The tallest one stepped forward, silent, until it stood beside the first. The big one tilted its head, almost deferential, as if waiting for permission, and then the new arrival extended its arm toward me, palm up. In a gesture that almost looked human, I didn't move. My muscles had turned to stone. The smallest one finally stepped into the dying light, and I saw its mouth, smeared red, open just enough to reveal teeth that were far too sharp for anything that should be. Walking upright, the tall one's hand curled into a fist. The big one dropped the flashlight, and in the dark, they all stepped closer. The flashlight hit the ground with a dull thud, the beam swinging wildly before dying against the dirt. Darkness swallowed everything. My instincts took over. I ran, not away from them, but toward the only gap in the trees I could see. A faint silver thread of moonlight cutting through the black branches clawed at my arms, snagging my sleeves, my hair. My breath tore out of me in ragged bursts, and my heartbeat pounded so loud I couldn't hear if they were chasing me, but I felt it. The ground shook in uneven pulses, each one closer than the last. I didn't dare look back. The silver light grew brighter, closer, until I burst out into an opening. Relief surged and died instantly. I was back at my camp, the tent, the cold embers, the crushed grass where the deer had been. I spun in place, disoriented. I had run in a straight line, I was sure of it, but the forest had folded in on itself, pulling me back like a hand closing into a fist. Something shifted in the shadows ahead. The big one stood there, waiting, its head low, almost level with mine now. Behind it, the smaller one crouched, swaying side to side like a predator about to pounce. Then I heard it, a deep, rhythmic sound. At first I thought it was my own pulse, but it was too loud, too steady, drumming. The tall one emerged again, its massive hands striking the trunk of a tree in a slow, deliberate beat. The sound echoed through the forest, rolling into my bones. It wasn't random. It was a signal from deep in the woods, far beyond what I could see. Others began to answer. The answering beats came from every direction, slow at first, then faster, weaving into a rhythm that didn't belong to any human culture I knew. It was a language, and I was the subject of the conversation. The air felt heavier, pressing down on my lungs. I staggered back, my heel sinking into the damp soil where the deer's body had been. My hand came away wet. I didn't have to look to know what it was. The big one's head jerked toward the sound of distant movement. Its ears, small, hidden in fur, twitched. The smaller one hissed again. This time sharp, impatient. Shapes began to emerge between the trees. First one, then 2, then too many to count. All sizes, all silent, except for the steady drumbeat coming from their leader. Their eyes caught the faint moonlight like shards of wet stone. No two pairs were the same color. Some glowed amber, some pale green, some the cold blue of glacial ice. They didn't rush me. They didn't need to. A narrow path opened in their ranks, leading into the forest. The tall one stepped aside, gesturing with a slow, deliberate wave of its hand. They wanted me to walk. Every instinct screamed run. But my legs felt hollow, weak. I knew if I bolted, the pack would close in before I took 3 steps. The tall one tilted its head toward the path. The beat of its palms against the tree slowed, matching my pounding heart, and then, without thinking, I stepped forward. The forest closed behind me. The path twisted deeper into the forest, the air growing colder with each step. The trees here were older, thicker, their trunks scarred with claw marks that spiraled upward like some alien script. The pack moved around me in total silence now, their feet making no sound against the earth. I kept my eyes forward, too afraid to look at any of them for long, afraid they'd take it as a challenge. somewhere far above, something shifted in the canopy. I caught glimpses of shapes leaping from branch to branch. Keeping pace, we came to a clearing lit by the faintest silver glow of moonlight filtering through a hole in the trees. That's when I saw them, bones, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, scattered like leaves, some bleached white with age, others still clinging to scraps of rotted flesh. Skulls stared up from the dirt, not just deer and bear, but human. I froze, bile burning the back of my throat. Near the center of the clearing, a massive tree rose, its roots twisting out of the ground like black serpents. Hung from its lower branches were trophies, clothing, a faded red jacket, a pair of hiking boots, a child's yellow raincoat torn straight down the middle. My stomach turned as I recognized one item, a green backpack, exactly like mine, only older. Stained dark, the tall one stepped to the center of the clearing, drumming its palm once against the trunk. The sound echoed, deep and final, the other spread out in a wide circle, their eyes fixed on me. Somewhere in the shadows, I heard movement, slow, dragging steps. Someone else was here, and they were still alive. The sound grew louder, the shuffling of feet over dirt, a faint metallic clink like something dragging behind. From between two massive roots, a figure emerged. At first, I thought it was another of them, hunched, covered in shadows, but as it stepped into the moonlight, I saw pale skin, sunken eyes, and a tangled mess of hair that might once have been blonde. A man, his clothes hung off him in filthy rags, his bare feet black with dirt and blood. A crude collar of twisted vines and rope circled his neck, with a strip of rusty chain dangling from it. When he spoke, his voice cracked like dry wood. "They don't want you dead," he rasped. "Not yet." I swallowed hard, my throat burning. "Why?" He glanced at the tall one, then back to me. "They keep some of us for other things." Before I could ask, the smaller one let out a sharp cry, almost like laughter, and stepped forward, sniffing the air around me. My whole body went rigid. "They'll take you deeper," the man whispered, his voice shaking. "If they do, you'll never see the sky again." I stared at him, my mind spinning. "Run," he said. I almost laughed, a bitter, hopeless sound, but then I saw his eyes. He meant it, and he was already moving. He shoved me hard, sending me stumbling toward a gap in the circle. For a heartbeat, none of them reacted, as if stunned by the audacity. Then the drumming started again. Faster this time. I ran, branches whipped at my face. The earth shook behind me, and somewhere, impossibly far ahead, I saw it, a single star, flickering through the trees. I didn't know if it'd make it, but for the first time all night, I knew one thing. I'd rather die running under the open sky than live forever in their dark.